So I wanted to finish this video. Okay. So I explored everything I could find spiritually, right? I went on this whole escapade because I did believe that if we were honestly seeking to know truth and to know God, that what God would shut us down. I think it's just the people who decide they're going to get bitter and close their hearts off. And even sometimes he'll come to those people through grace, through mercy. I don't know. And so I had an experience on ayahuasca where I was at a church that would drink it to connect with spirit. I had a vision. I won't go too deep into it. Yet it was enough to get me to go back and to read the Sermon on the Mount. I broke down into tears. I was convicted. God does not condemn. Guilt, shame, fear, that is not from God, okay? That the church has been infiltrated because if you're the enemy, how better to get people to not know God or not even want to or even get close to it than to use his name to try and justify horrendous behaviors, okay? So I started thinking maybe there's something in this, and I started to get to know God because I was convicted. A conviction is not a condemnation. It's when you feel. It's a soft-hearted experience where you feel the repercussions of the choices you've made. He doesn't say, like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, because he's trying to control us. It's for our own hearts. It's to protect our hearts. And so when he doesn't want us just sleeping around willy-nilly or doing all these things, I know when I was bitter towards God, I was polyamorous, I was all about free love, super hippy-dippy, and I thought it was just a control mechanism, and I quickly realized that it's to protect our hearts. So he gives us free will. He lets us do what we want. We don't have to listen to him. And people also think, I'm just going to rant because I have a lot of ideas, and I'm not writing them down and stuff, but it's something I wanted to share. I might do a more structured version of this later, but it's not like obey these. This is what people think Christianity is. Obey these laws that I have made, because I am almighty and I make the rules, and you must worship me because I'm God. And if you don't, you're going to burn in hell forever. People think that's what it is. It's not. It's not. And when I actually started studying scriptures and got into like the etymology and the deeper meaning behind these things and really deep diving, I realized that's not it at all. God's like, I love you, I want to know you. These are some rules that will basically just make your life easier, will bring you more peace. You can't tell how good someone's life is by looking at it from the outside. Knowing God gives you an inner peace that the world could be falling apart around you. Remember, there's someone out there that's happier that has less than you, or their life isn't going as good as yours, and they're happier. And your closeness with God, it's synonymous, I would say, with like a deep presence. When you don't have God, you don't have peace in the silence and in the void. There's just without him, there's a constant hankering for dopamine, usage of substances, just constant distractions. Not necessarily to feel good, but to have a break from feeling bad, because without him, there's no peace. And so he sets these rules up to help us to live a life of more inner peace and gives us the freedom to break them so that, at least my experience, I can learn why those rules are there and live in more harmony instead of seeking pleasures that will spike dopamine and ultimately put me in a lower place afterwards. And it's this constant seeking for pleasure that after the pleasure dissipates, your baseline of dopamine is lower. And that's why God tells us that our bodies are his temple and to take care of it, because it brings us closer to him. And because People think God is this bearded white dude in the sky. That's not written anywhere in there. It says the kingdom of heaven is within you, which means the kingdom, God's kingdom, is inside of you. It's in you. And by taking care of our hearts, our bodies, our minds, love God with all your heart, body, mind, soul, it aligns us with our Creator and aligns us with the congruency of the design that God has designed. And when we're out of alignment with that design, we feel it in an internal discord. And so the looking from the outside in, you have this perfect setup to really get people to not want to know God. Because if you're looking at it from the outside, you think there's this judgmental man in the sky who's going to send you to hell if you don't obey him and you don't like his rules, and so you want to be Luciferian and satanic and make your own rules. The universe has its own laws. There are natural laws, right? There's the law of karma. There is the law of gravity. These are natural laws, and every time people try and break them, you touch a hot stove, you get burned. But you have the freedom to do that, so you can learn. And it's not about being a holier person and not sinning. Jesus came and said, look, that's not possible. Everyone has a dark side. There's a lot that Zen, I don't know if you're into like Alan Watts and Zen philosophy, but there's a lot in common with Christianity if you look into it. Not all, but there's a lot in common. Which is, you got to learn to accept the fact that no matter how good of a person you try to be or how holy, you're going to fall short. And when you can accept that, your heart softens, you become more patient with yourself, which makes you more patient towards others, which culminates compassion and empathy, which helps with harmony and symbiosis of the world around you. And that's what he taught. And so this is why I'm out here shouting the good news like a crazy freaking Christian. Because I've had an experience firsthand, and I believe that anyone can, because he makes it simple. No, it's not a judgmental God who's looking at you with, when you sin, it's like it hurts his heart. And when you start to know him and your heart gets closer to his heart, you start to feel the same when you see other people doing horrendous things. It's because they're hurting, because they're disconnected from him. And so you feel it. And just like Jesus taking on the weight of the world, you start to take that on. And that, like you learn in meditation and yoga, you breathe through it. You just breathe through it, and it's like an ice bath. You breathe, you take it on because you're capable. And so the whole heaven and hell thing, it's just, he just offers it to you. And to me, that perfect design by the enemy, that he just perverts. Everything God made is good, and the enemy perverts it. You tell a Midwestern Christian that you used ayahuasca and it helped you to get closer to God. Some people think, Christians think that's demonic. Substances are demonic. Did you know God made every chemical, plant, mushroom that's here? He made it for us as a tool. He put sex. He gave us sex. All these things are sacred and beautiful. And it's the perversion of them which comes through a certain intention. It's your intention. God says medicine, good. Medicine, good. I'm paraphrasing here. Okay? And then he also said, be of sober mind. So how do you reconcile this paradox? And how could something like ayahuasca help? It didn't do it for me. It just nudged me. It's a plant that God made. So God gives us all these tools. What differentiates a drug and not being sober-minded from a medicine? Well, it's the amount you use, and it's why you use it. It's your intention. It's just a vessel. It's just a vehicle. Just like sex, it can be used to create a holy union between two people and uplift you and give you energy so you can go out and make the world a better place. It can really fuel you and nurture you, and it can be used for that. Or it can be perverted, and then you've got pornography, and you've got all this lustful thinking and using people and objectification and just taking people's hearts and just ripping them until there's nothing left, and people are just empty shells going around just throwing their body at people for validation. And so it's how you use it. And you're not going to hear this in churches, which is a shame. You know, churches often teach things that are not biblical, unfortunately. Or they'll leave out certain verses, or they won't show the full context and subtext of the situation. And so people will hear something and get disgusted by it, but it's like, you know what? If you're having a difficult time and you're just going through the Old Testament, picking out things, just as an experiment, just leave the Old Testament alone, read the New Testament. Read the Sermon on the Mount. It's so convicting. It's so deep. It's so true. And then you've got things written thousands of years ago that are coming true. Did you know we sacrificed the red heifer? Did you know that the temple is being rebuilt? Did you know that Trump is calling for 7 years of peace in the Middle East? Did you know that all these things were written forever ago? The drying up of the Euphrates River. You've got cities that the Bible says will be unrecognizable because they will be in shambles. Those cities are now that way. They haven't been this way, and now they're that way. Thousands of years, buddy. You have ecological evidence. And we've never had a system, we've never had a world before where the system for the mark of the beast could happen. Now we're talking about digital ID, we're talking about crypto, digital currency. Just look at what's happening in the world. We're giving all our tax dollars to Israel. The world is looking at Israel. I don't understand how you can watch all these prophecies unfold and you can see how dark things are. And I would hope that by now people, or at least most people, have seen that there is spiritual warfare happening on a great scale. Every day I deal with spiritual warfare. And when you turn your attention in and not out, and you realize nothing out here is going to satisfy you, then instead of working on making your external world look how you think it's going to make you happy, instead working from the inside out, which means auditing your thoughts. Watch the fears as they start coming, right? And say, nope, not gonna go there. Just start auditing your thoughts and organizing your inner world, and then let that start to go into your outer world. I mean, at one point, everything in my world, I set it up to where it looked perfect. I ran my own successful company making 6 figures. I moved to Malibu. I bought a Beamer. I had all the free time I wanted. All my systems were set up, right? So I just had money coming in, and I was spending my days at the beach. I was eating at Erewhon. Everything looked perfect. I was not happy. I was creating idols. I was worshiping things of this world. And we get to know people through spending time with them, understanding who they are, listening to them, speaking with them. And so for those of you who think, we're crazy because we worship an invisible man in the sky, well, don't you have loved ones who've passed away and you can still feel their spirit, right? It's like in the spirit of so-and-so, right? Oh, that's in the spirit of, I got my buddy Doyle who passed away recently. And every now and then I'll see someone or something that reminds me of him, and I can feel his spirit. I can feel his energy. Like, oh, Doyle. Okay? God is similar. It's spirit. And, if you just sit there and meditate on someone you love that's not with you, just think about them. You can start to feel them and know them. And that's just how we get to know God. We pray. I remember not knowing if he was real and just spending time like, God, if you're real. And just spending time with him, not just talking, but also listening. I mean, go into nature. That's where Jesus would pray. Look at what he did. Go into nature, sit silently, just listen. And then the Bible is there to help us discern his voice and to know him deeper. It's a tool. And so with the combination of having, these words that were written a long time ago, you have people who were killed. They could have just said, you know what, we're making it up. This wasn't real. All his disciples were, you had Judas who hung himself, but the rest of them all killed because they would die on that hill. Speaking up for, yes, this is who he was, this is what we saw. They were all killed in brutal ways. You don't die for something, for a lie like that. And they wrote these things down for us so that we could understand who he was. And when you start to understand his heart, it's not, religion wants you to change your actions. Act this way. Do these things. Don't do these things. That's religion. That's not what we're called to. He wants us to change our hearts. And when we change our hearts, naturally, the way we act, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves, the way we show up in the world, the way we feel inside, that all shifts. But it comes from the change of heart. And the change of heart comes from knowing him, and knowing him comes from, first, our intention to know him, a softening of the heart, the ability to look at ourselves fully, acknowledge our darkness, and not think that we're morally or spiritually better than anyone else. And once we can acknowledge that with a soft heart and forgive ourselves, that brings us closer. His spirit is forgiving. People say, oh, I don't believe in God because I don't want to walk around feeling judged and suppressed. That's not how it feels when you know him. It feels like unconditional love and wisdom and peace and presence. That's my rant for today. I just wanted to share. Love you guys.